All right, here we are. Welcome everyone to the first show of 2022 at the Designer Show. Anyway, um, just been having a chat here about different things. As you can see, we're on the call with John and Robin. Welcome, you guys,
Hi
and
guys.
our fantastic guest, wonderful guy, just a cool human being all around, Mr. Kyle Hunt from Remodelers on the Rise.
I
Read the
told
hat.
Dan. I told Dan I changed my business name recently, and he said
Yeah.
I'll just read the hat.
Read the hat.
Well, that remodelers it's in cursive. It's a little tricky.
Yeah. I got to
And
tell you, Kyle, after looking over your website and everything that you've been doing with your branding and your new company name, 20 thumbs up. I mean, you are killing it, dude. I mean,
Thank you.
nice job. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
really, really
Thank
outstanding.
you.
So,
No, and rebranding. I think everybody has either thought about it or done it, or like, man, this business name doesn't really resonate, or why did I name this remodeling business after my last name, or whatever the case is. It's a big undertaking to take it on, but sometimes you need to bite the bullet and kind of make the change and do the work.
right.
So,
And it really, really fits what you do. And it just, yeah, well
yeah.
done. So,
Oops,
I
Dan,
think
I'm going to add one more
everything
thing
about it.
too.
Yeah, please.
The quality of the way that your logo and brand looks, like that logo we had professionally done, and I
Mhm.
love it. I've shown some people after I had it done, and they had some critiques, and I was kind of like, it's not to the point where you should critique it. It's kind of like if a couple is pregnant and they've already selected a name for their child, when they say, well, what do you think of the name Johnny? Your only response is, I
It's
love the name
fabulous.
It's
Johnny.
Great
wonderful.
So
name.
like same with this logo, but this logo feels and looks so much more professional and polished than what I had before. So
Well,
if you look at your logo as a design company or as a remodeler, and it looks like your fifth grade nephew did it, it looks dated, it looks old. You look at the type of work and the creativity of your work, and you look at your logo and it's boring. It's time to update it. It does matter.
yes, and I love, if you look closely at the logo, the little house below the arrow. It's just like, bam, I love it. Yeah, you really got to look for that.
The
Uh,
same thing being said, I just had my headshots redone, and I had somebody say to me that if your headshot is 2 years old, you need to get a new headshot.
yeah.
Like you need to have that. You need
Yeah.
to stay relevant and up to date.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Anyway, so Kyle, I asked you on the show to start out the year. I want to get everybody thinking and doing and planning and going on making the design part of your business a profit center. So we've had, I've been on your show, you've been on my show before, and we've talked about this many times. And, you know, it's really important. But before we get into that, we got to do a little commercial. And um, actually, we're going to do a couple of commercials. Real quickly, let me add this to the stream. So if you're on the streaming page, you'll see a little information about Mr. Kyle Hunt. We've known each other for quite a number of years now. We're in a mastermind group together. So I've learned a lot from you, and I hope I've helped you learn a
Yeah.
few things over the years. And
Absolutely.
it's been a lot of
Robin,
fun.
Robin, to your point, I hadn't had my pictures done in like 8 years, and I had new shots. That's the one my wife picked, and I'm like, "You really like that one?" She's like, "Yeah, you're kind of glancing off into the distance. I like that one."
It looks cute. You look
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hang
But
on, John.
yeah,
Would you agree? Do I look cute?
Well, not cute. It looks like you.
I mean, but to describe the photo, John,
Captures your personality like just to a T.
he's up to something. You're looking at it like he's up to something.
yeah.
There's a little bit of a smirk. It's
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a smirk. It's good.
Mr. Wry, humorous guy. Okay, that's Kyle. Perfect. A couple of things coming soon. Jolene is going to be on next week talking about digital marketing mastery. Um, I've worked with Jolene for almost 4 years now. She does all my marketing stuff, every graphic that you see here, her company does. And we just got to talking, and I wanted her to put together a course, of it's really cool what she's doing. So when we go to the homepage here and we look at uh, the whole idea is, are you attracting the clients that you love? getting the kinds of projects that you want, not the kind of projects you hate. We kind of played around with little titles here, and she's created a course around that theme. So it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. But she'll be doing a presentation next week. You can click the Learn More button, learn all about the course, and let us know if it looks like something that you might be interested in. And along with that, if you're on the page here, you'll see the second smirky picture of Kyle here. Smirky's not. It's just a cute grin. It's like you're grinning at your wife.
I like it. I like it.
And Kyle is at a course called Charging for Your Design and Project Development. And it's 5 90-minute sessions with a bunch of forms and other things that you can download with this course. I've listened to the first 2 of the sessions. I was hoping to listen to all of them by now, but it just didn't work out. But I will listen to them because they're outstanding.
Good.
You do such a good job of working with the people on the call that you're not just teaching, you're getting everybody involved in the whole thing and getting the way you lay out the process of charging for design and project development. It's really, really cool. So I'm really excited to work with you more and learn more about how you teach this, because you really do an outstanding job. So anybody that's on the call, you can click the Learn More button, and let me click the right what do we got here. Here we go. remodelersontherise.com/Dan. If you wouldn't mind doing the Dan thing, I would appreciate that. And Kyle lays out the course here and what's in it and pictures of people that have been in it. And it's really, really well worth the $497 that you're asking for this course.
I had somebody buy the course and the recordings, and they sent me a email with a picture attached, and it was them holding a check. And they said, I listened to the course. I have been flirting around with charging for design and project development. Here's the first check. I can't believe it. I went and somebody paid and bought into this concept of upfront planning and design. So that was kind of cool.
I love in the beginning how you really, really work at, confidence. How do you get the confidence to do this? And you really give the tools to help them gain the confidence to do that. And I'm only through the second part now. So it all
goes downhill after the second one. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, if I know you, it only gets better. Anyway, so cool. Well, Kyle, let's just talk about this. So why should contractors charge for design and project development? Isn't that old saying, free estimates and all that kind of stuff? How can people do that? Because that's so pervasive.
Pervasive. That's a big word. What is that, John? What does that mean?
It means it happens a lot.
Happens a lot. Okay, got it. Thank you for the help. John was telling Robin. Robin, he puts you on the spot. I'm not going to put you on the spot, Robin. I just have fun doing that to John. The thought of why do we do this? I'm thinking in my head of contractors. Yes, remodelers. Most of my clients are doing kitchens, bathrooms, additions, that type of work. If you're a designer who sells products, I give my design free because I make my money on the products. Or a remodeler who doing all of that work up front is just what it needs. Is required in order to get the sale. No. A free estimate is fine. All of my clients offer a free estimate. There's just a huge difference between a free estimate and a detailed design and a detailed scope of work.
Yeah.
2 totally different things.
Yep.
Spread it out. But Kyle, people want free estimates. Cool, give it to them. It's called based on your years of experience, based on the project that they're talking about and that you've seen pictures of or seen in person. Thinking of projects that we've done of similar size and scope, your project's going to range anywhere from here to here. Yep. You're welcome. There's your free estimate.
Yep. Bam.
Yep. Right. Now we got to sell them on the value and the need and the necessity of charging for the design and project development. Before we even worry about charging, the value and the necessity of getting into the details. There needs to be just as much work done on this kitchen project before a hammer ever hits the job site. And the problem and the horror stories that they've experienced or they've heard from friends or this or that is because the planning and the design details that goes into the project are minimal and crummy.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have all kinds of issues. So that's the why. We've got to, and I'll summarize it and then I'll throw it back to you. The why we need to do this is because you have to charge in order to weed out the people that are tire kickers, to work with the people that value it. And it's your only hope of being able to put in the proper amount of time to get the planning done, because the reason we want to deliver a great remodeling experience, we want it to be on time and on budget. And you can only do that if you're getting into the nitty gritty details of design and scope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, don't they say the design is the project? Right?
Who's they, Robin?
Yeah.
Well,
Robin Fisher says that. Bam. Own it.
Yeah.
the design is the project. Without the design, there's no project. You have a blank show. I'm not going to cuss, right? But whatever. Anyway, you're just going to have a mess if you don't have a design.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. So
You have to have it. It's the show. It's the entire thing.
Yeah. How can I create a detailed scope of work and give you a detailed price if I don't know if we're going to move that wall or not? If I don't know if we're going to take those, take that up to the ceiling. If I don't know what kind of countertop material there's 1,000 different decisions to make in order for me to do that.
And that's what every project is. It's thousands of decisions that something. My dog's in the background. All those questions that need to be answered, and you can answer them, most of them up front, or you can answer them as you go, which will create a huge mess, as we've all seen. So,
Well, the project's going to take longer. It's going to cost more, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays, you don't have with the supply chain being such a mess, you don't have the opportunity to design as you're going along. You
Right.
don't, you do if you want it to last 4 years and you want it to become a nightmare.
Yep.
Then go ahead and just start tear the wall out, just tear things out and hope and pray, because that's what you're going to need. And good luck getting a contractor.
Yep.
It blows my mind when.
Is Robin always this fired up on Friday afternoons? I've never met her before.
Yeah. You're not on pain medication today, are you?
No. In fact, I haven't taken any yet.
That's good. She had a foot operation here a week or so ago, so she's kind of laid up.
I'm
Kyle.
seeing people. It's fabulous.
So how do you structure that sales process that you're just talking about? We talk about, okay, well, you do the free estimate. Great, do that. Now it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. So I would say if I were to ask, and I see we got Bill. It says Bill Murray. I don't think it's the actor comedian Bill Murray, but it could be.
You never know. I don't think so.
Well, it's the comedian, it's
Bill.
not the actor.
Okay. We've got E. White, we've got Jeffrey Rexford, we got Nina. So if I asked all of those fine folks who are watching this show, and to the others, let us know in the comments. Say hello,
Jeff.
ask your questions.
Jeff, you're looking good.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah. So you want to handle that, and then I'll answer your question?
Sure.
Okay. Well,
Go
you
ahead.
can do that one. Bill, click on Bill's again.
All right.
Kyle knows this, but these issues of should I charge have been around forever. I started charging for estimates and plans in 1982. Now, Bill was way ahead of the curve, but throughout the 90s, throughout the early 2000s, even into the 2009, were we really beating the drum of charge for design and project development? 2009, 2010, when we were just happy to have something in front of us, we weren't. I would say especially over the last 5 years, I think there's more and more people talking about it, and when there's a huge supply, a huge demand for our services, it helps us be confident to say, doggone it, I'm worth it. And if he says no, I'm just going to go to this next person. So that's helped, I think, build some confidence in it. As far as how to structure the sales process, the way I start with that is, number one, everybody watching this, tell me what your process is. If you were to answer, this is how I work. 5 powerful words. This is how I work. John, was that 5?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Just making sure. You're my co-pilot here. If I asked most people that and you gave me the answer, you would not pull up a sheet of paper that shows me. You would just tell me what's in your head, and you would say, well, we start by doing this, we start by doing that. Then if I asked you 2 weeks later and I said, hey, Remember when you answered that question for me the other day of 2 weeks ago of this is how you work? Can you tell me again how you work? And if I compared my notes from 2 weeks ago to when I asked them, it would be different because it's kind of scattered in their head. So number one is put down in writing. The top of the page says our process. This is how we work. Put a number one and put the first thing that you do. And I'm not talking like nitty gritty details. I'm talking something that a prospect would see. So it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's going to be something along project discovery. We do an initial phone call. Step 2, we either do a Zoom call after you send us photos and videos, or we do an in-person visit. At that point, we're able to give you a ballpark range. Step 3, professional design and development. Boom, 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 boom. Get very clear and in writing how you work. That's not super complicated, but 1 out of 10 of the people watching this actually has it written. And if it's 10 out of 10, your confidence and your clarity of why you do it and how it works will go way up.
Absolutely. And I love how you drive home the point of keeping it simple. Keep it simple. That's really key. I mean, I've seen contracts or agreements for design that are 17 pages long. I don't think that's considered simple. So anyway, yeah, very interesting.
Oh, we got questions rolling in, Dan. Let's hit them.
Do we? Let's hit them.
Oh,
here.
yeah, man.
Let's see. Well, Nina. Hi, Nina from Alaska. How are you? Happy New Year. Jamie Price. Isn't the proposal where you lay out the scope with an estimate of costs?
I don't know, Jamie. It depends on how you define proposal. Some people define free estimate as a detailed scope of work with all of the details figured out. I don't. I call it a free estimate, a ballpark range. So everybody defines it differently.
Yeah.
If you say in my case, the proposal is when I lay out the detailed scope of work with an estimate of the cost. Okay, that's how you define it, and that could be the case. The phrases I usually use is free estimate. If you have that in your head, I say ballpark range. That's one end of the spectrum. I am going to give you a ballpark range, aka free estimate. And then on the whole other side, detailed design, detailed scope of work and specifications, and a guaranteed budget. 2 very different things. Because if I say proposal, that's very murky. Is that over here? Is that over there? So I try to name it something that sounds totally different and that is totally different. So that's my thought on it, Jamie.
You don't name it WAG or swag.
No.
You don't call it wild ass guess or
Nope.
scientific wild ass guess.
Nope. Well, Dan, first of all, I don't cuss very much. Robin had to bite her tongue earlier. I was curious what cuss words he was going to say, but yeah.
So I've heard investment range instead of ballpark. When I was a contractor, I only do design. I'm not I don't do contracting anymore. But when I was a general contractor, we referred to it as an investment range because I loved it when people would say, "Hey, can you give me a ballpark?" I'm like, a ballpark estimate. I'm like, I don't build ballparks, so I have no idea. I'm thinking they're a few $1 million. Sorry. But we used to give investment range, and we would always give the highest number first and the lowest number. So we would say your kitchen investment range will be $125,000 to $80,000. $125,000 to $80,000. And we always do it that way because people will hear and remember the $125,000 first.
Yeah.
First number.
So pause. There's actually people watching this live, investing their precious limited time. There's people watching the recording of this or listening to it via audio. Everybody just heard a very practical, smart thing to do. You put the higher investment range first and then the lower one second. Will the people watching this who thought that was kind of clever and it makes sense to them, will you actually do something with that idea? Or will it be put in the pile of 1,000 other ideas of good ideas that you hear and you don't do squat with? AKA, if you're watching this and listening to this, implement it. Try it. If you do what Robin just said, it's exactly what I teach. Do the high end first. They'll be like, wait, what? Did you say the high end first? I did. The reason I did that is because 1, that's the number you're going to remember more. And 2, my experience has shown that as you start to make design decisions and selection decisions, you will end up at the higher end of this range, if not beyond it. That's what my years of professional experience teaches. The other thing that Robin said that everybody needs to hear is she did not give a narrow range. She gave a nice broad range. We almost want the person to say, wow, that's a big range. Yes, that's because we need to go through design and project development. Let me tell you what that means.
There you go.
Exactly. Thank you, Bill.
Good
You know,
one.
the other thing that I just heard, Kyle, which I thought was, it's all vernacular. It's all the words we use. Instead of saying, you're paying for my time, you're not paying for my time. You're paying for my experience. You're paying for my expertise. So I will not waste your time, your money, or my expertise on this.
I like it.
And I just thought, what a brilliant word. What a brilliant word.
I like
Yeah.
it.
I learned that. I won't call it a trick. I just learned that way to flip the numbers. Back when I was contracting, a long time ago. It's really hard to do at first. It feels weird. It feels like you're talking foreign language when you say 100,000 to 60,000. But if you do it a few times, it's like becomes second nature, and it really works. I had many clients that would always refer back to the budgeted price with the highest number because they remember the first number they hear. So if you don't get anything else from this talk today, do that. Like Bill said, you learn something new every time. I think that's what he might have learned. Anyway, so Kyle, what should we call this service that we're talking about?
So I've heard people call it, design retainers, professional services agreement, professional development agreement, design agreements, lots of different ways there. The thing that I most lean my clients towards and that I coach towards is to use both design and project development. To use both of those. So a lot of my clients just call it, and then next we have our design and project development agreement.
Yeah.
And here's what that means.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of reason for it. If somebody comes and they have a design already kind of created, and they're coming to us to have us in their eyes give us an estimate, right? We can say, oh, great. So you have the most of the design done here. There's still going to be some things that we're going to want to review and dig into. But what you really need is our project development services.
Yeah.
And, and that's so much easier. And the other thing is when people hear if it's a design agreement, they undervalue and don't really understand that there's a bunch of project development going into this. If we just call it a design agreement, then they're like, oh, so you're charging me that much just for the 3D plan and this and that. No. It's project development. We are getting quotes for this. We are talking to our trade partners. We are doing detailed estimates. We're helping you through the selection process. Design and project development and calling it that really adds a lot more weight to it.
Yeah.
And depth.
Kyle, so I do design. I just do design. And then I have a contractor who I work with. So the contractor is who he needs to then be charging for design development. And that's what he should be using the term, right?
Or project development.
Or project development. So, and then depending upon the scope of the project, because I give him pretty detailed job specs with engineering and all that kind of stuff, then he will be charging for project development.
Yes.
That's the concept. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and think of it this way of, he or she can either put a ton of time and hours into really getting into the detailed scope of work, making sure all of the selections are finalized, all of the work that, dealing with permitting and thinking through that, dealing with zoning issues. When you start to really think through everything that goes into project development, if you're doing it right, there's so much work involved. And he can either do that free of charge and pour hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into it, cross his fingers, hope they sign. But we've all been there where I thought for sure they were going to sign. And usually the time that somebody starts taking design and project development and charging for it seriously, they finally have the straw that broke the camel's back. Yep. Never again am I going to steal from my kids and other clients and my own time and invest all this time for nothing. I'm going to charge for it. And yes.
Back in my day, when I was a contractor, I tracked everything I did really closely, from leads to, projects that I got and closing ratios, all that stuff. And when I finally learned how to do this charge for design services, I didn't call it project development back then. I was closing 3 out of 10. Okay. I go to visit 10 clients, do 10 plans, do 10 estimates, do 10 of everything. Took an enormous amount of my time, and I'd get 3 of those. Then I started changing it to say, then in my sales process, I went through, okay, well, yeah, I'd love to look at it. It's going to be about this much, but I also charge for my design services, and it's going to be about this much probably. And I would close 3 or 4 of 10 of those for the design services. And of those, I would spend all my time working on now because I'm getting paid to work just specifically on those 3 or 4. I would get 85 to 90% of those projects. So I'm still closing 3 out of 10. It's just that I'm not wasting my time on the other 7 that weren't going to buy from me anyway.
And if you're working with fewer, you can go more and more detailed and do it properly. You have no chance if you're trying to do that with 10.
Yeah. And then you say you're not cheating your family out of the money that you should have been getting paid for.
Okay.
So what you have them sign? We've done all of this. Do you have sign a contract, an agreement? And I always call it an agreement. What do you?
Yeah, in the course, there's probably 7 or 8 different examples of different things that people can sign. A lot of times it's just a couple pages, but you've got some decisions to make. Are you going to give unlimited revision rounds? Or is it a certain number of rounds? After a certain number of rounds, let's say, when they sign is some of the details of this. We're going to do some initial concepts. We're going to do 2 revision rounds. And then after that, we charge $150 an hour for additional design time. That could be what you put in there. But you have some decisions to make of the details of how this whole thing works. Are you going to make it, if you're a remodeler, are you going to make it so that it's a standalone fee? Or are you going to say, if they proceed forward with the project, we will apply your design and development agreement towards your final payment? You have decisions to make. How much are you going to charge? But certainly on this, it's going to say design and project development. It's going to have the details there. It's going to have a little bit of legalese. It's going to be a spot for them to sign. And most likely, you're also going to have a range on there of $120,000 to $80,000 and a little bit of the detail of what project we're talking about for this. Yeah. And once you have that, you're armed and dangerous.
Yeah. And this is really relevant too, Jeff. Thanks for mentioning the Sandler system, or whatever system you use to learn how to sell better. Selling is a good thing to learn. There's nothing bad about that. You want to learn the techniques, the skills, how to close a project. It's amazing. I studied Tom Hopkins for many, many years back when I was doing remodeling. And I had his 12 set of cassettes that I would listen to. I'd probably listen to them all 20 times. And it really, really works. Yeah. Really, as a designer, that's what you're doing anyway. You're learning how to ask questions.
What you were just saying there, there's a Sandler rules, 49 timeless selling principles. Like reading this is like 3 pages, each little timeless rule, just a bunch of good stuff in there. Sandler is very well respected, rock solid sales training. But what you were saying, you kind of hinted at it, Dan, of like some people like apologize for being a salesperson. Stop it. A huge part of your guys' roles, if you're selling anything, is to be a stinking great salesperson. Yeah. And you got to hone those skills. And salesperson is not a negative term. You're fine. You're great at doing the actual work. You're great at doing the design work. Are you just as great at being a salesperson? And a lot of what I teach, are you just as great at being a great business owner? At it. Let's get your skills up there. So
why do we think being a salesperson is a dirty word? It's not.
I think it's those car salesmen.
I know it's not a bad thing. It's what we do.
It's a good thing. It's how you can help your clients become happily involved with your company and your services. That's what selling is all about. And it's back in the old days when you had the tin guy, tin salesman or whatever you called them.
Man, they were called tin men.
Tin men, that's it. Yeah, I mean that. The heavy closing ratios. You roll the pen across the table and say, press hard, there's 3 copies, that kind of a deal. It's like,
but you know what though?
Those days are gone.
I do charge. I mean, I do design. I don't sell the design process. I get paid for every time I'm working with a client. I mean, I charge for my initial consultation and I just raised my rates because I analyzed my initial consultation fee wasn't enough to cover all the work that I put into until I signed the contract. So I had to raise my rate so it covered that part of the project until they signed the contract. And somebody just asked what I call it. It's called a letter of agreement, but I'm actually changing the terms for it right now. It's
hey, what are you changing it to?
Scope. It's called a scope and fee proposal.
Okay.
So it's definitely detailed, and I have how many revisions they can get because I charge flat rate. but I'm changing the whole entire process right now. I mean, it's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I had to go back and analyze how much time I put into putting together that proposal from the minute that I meet with them, and I had to change my initial consultation fee. I
Gotcha.
charge for
Good.
it.
Dan, I know this is your show, but you've been in enough meetings that you know I like to take over sometimes. So I'm trying not to be bossy. But can you click on Jeff Jansen's comment?
Absolutely. You're not bossy. Where's Jeff Jansen? There he is.
Good drawings and good scope definition will also help reduce the risk for the client to change orders from, we don't call them subcontractors, Jeff, we call them trade partners. They're not sub anything.
Yeah.
Write that down. Trade partners, when you specify that they should carry an allowance for an unknown. So a couple things packed in there. One is to reduce the risk. You know, it's easy for us to wrap our head around the benefits to us for charging for design and project development, but there is plenty of benefits to the client as well. And you just touched on a few. Your project will have a lot less surprises, will stay much stronger on budget and much better on schedule by investing in professional design and project development.
Absolutely.
We are going to work extremely hard. Now, everybody watching this, it is more imperative that you squash allowances before that contract is signed now than ever before. Oh, you're going to wait to finalize that tile selection? You're going to wait to finalize that cabinetry detail? You're going to wait to finalize that fixture? You're asking for trouble. It is more imperative than ever before to get your selections done up front. So there's tremendous benefit to the client for going this route and being confident.
So Kyle, in your course, you talk about real life examples. You actually have you have contractors in your course, and they all are sharing stories and how they do things. Do you have some real life examples here to share of successful implementations?
Well, I mean, I've been coaching hard all week, Dan. First week back from a couple weeks off, and it's Friday afternoon. So I mean, that's asking a lot.
I know, but you're a tough guy. You can handle it.
Boy. So, I mean, examples of executing this, here's where I'll go first. Just got done with a meeting right before this. Actually, I talked to Vicky Suter, our friend, right before this. But right before that, it was with a local client. They are finally taking charging for design and project development more seriously. I'll give you two examples of the benefit downstream before I talk about some other things. Chris has been the one that stepped from a lead carpenter position to a designer position. He's digging into the software, he's learning it, and they're taking the project development portion of things way more seriously, which is very good. They finally signed, and I think the last name, because I just took notes on it when I was in there, Bazinski. They just signed the Bazinski project, and this is the first one in their company where they properly did the planning up front. And they're incredibly excited for what is going to happen. How much different is this project going to be because we 5P'd it?
5P'd?
Yeah.
What's 5P?
Thanks, John. Thanks, John. Thanks. You guys are perfect. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
I love that. Oh my God.
Now say it a little slower, Kyle, so you can write it down.
Proper
You're a horse trainer, Kyle.
No, I'm not. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. What that means is they've actually planned the project well, right? Another client, it's also here in Michigan, they've lived through about 9 months of having properly done their design and project development. How do you think their projects are going now compared to before? They're running so much smoother. There's so many less issues. Their team has more detailed design, so they have not as many questions. They actually know how the tile is going to be laid out. They don't call and say, so how are we laying out this tile?
Kyle,
I'll be over there this afternoon.
Say that word. Say those words. Say those 5 words again.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Okay. Are we caught up now?
So, Kyle, I'll be over there
There we go.
this afternoon to show you how to lay out that tile, okay?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. You'll be interrupted as the stinking owner of the business. You're going to be interrupted with a phone call. You're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to show the guys because we didn't stinking 5P. Right. So you asked for some examples. Those are real world examples of major impact in the production side of the business because we are doing the work up front. Don't even get me started about how much more profitable those projects are how we've protected our gross profit and we don't have slippage. Slippage is when you were expecting to make this amount in gross profit and your actual was a lot more. I was expecting to make $2,000 of gross profit on this and I only made $1,500. I had slippage of $500 because it took me longer or it cost more or I didn't think of this. By the way, you need to know your stinking numbers, people. Know what gross profit means. Total sales minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit. Gross profit is not net profit. And if you don't know that, dig in and get to know it this year. That should be your goal. Know your numbers in 2022.
That's
now
a really
I'm getting
good
fired
goal.
up. I
That's
got a lot of,
great goal.
yeah. So you asked me,
Yeah.
how else does this play out? You know, I was talking to a client of mine, Jake with Revive Properties. He's down in Florida. He's actually another one that kind of sent me a picture when he received his first deal, and he had been flirting around with the idea of charging for design and project development. I can't do it in my area. I don't think people will go for it. And he got a stinking pep talk from yours truly, and he went out there and he sold it. And he sold the first one, and his confidence level went from 20% up to 90%.
Yeah.
Now he's selling them like crazy. But what he's crazy excited about is that some people are saying no to it. Yes. Those are the people that you were about to spend hours and hours and hours with, and we're going to give you the no. You're moving up that moment of truth earlier in the process. You're protecting your time, and he's going to do such a better job of designing and planning that project than he would have before, and it's going to be so much smoother and a better experience for the client, and he's going to have more Benjamins in his back pocket.
So how many lawyers do you know that will spend hours and hours and hours laying out your case and your course, everything that you need for the court case, and then say, okay, you want to do that? Here's how much it'll cost.
Right.
Right. That doesn't happen very often.
Right. Now, there are lawyers who will do all of that work because they're waiting for the big bounty on that prosecutor
that's
case,
a little
right?
different. That's a
right.
little different.
Right. But yes, it's a mindset shift of I am worth getting paid for that. I was going to use your analogy and flip it around, but then I played it through in my head and it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy, Dan.
Yeah. So let's see, what do we got here? How to see real life? We got that. How do you gain clarity? How do you get the clarity to implement this?
So it's clarity on one, deciding the structure of it, which we've talked about. What are you charging a percentage? Do you charge 3% of the top end of the budget range? Do you charge $1,000 for going through design and project development for kitchen remodeling? You start somewhere. So part of the clarity is just deciding what you're going to charge, making sure you have something for them to sign, practicing your pitch on the value of it, and getting out there and getting a rep in. And you're going to have way more success early on than you think. Yeah. So the clarity part is just getting clear with what the structure is. If they pay you $2,000, is that a standalone fee, or do you apply that towards the down payment? Do you apply that towards the final payment? Whatever the case might be. So that's the clarity part. Make some decisions and decide on that. The thing that I think is even more important is just the confidence factor. You've just got to build up your confidence. You have to sell yourself on it before you can sell anybody else on it. And if you still think there's not value in it, if you still think it's not worth it, well, you're not going to be able to sell it. So the confidence part of building yourself up and clear on why you're doing it is huge.
It is huge. Confidence is huge in everything we do. Not cocky, confident. That's right. Big difference.
Absolutely.
Robin, what do you call your agreement?
Oh, I said that earlier. It's called the scope of work and fee proposal. That's what I'm changing the name to. Right now, in my computer, it still says letter of agreement, but I'm changing the entire process.
All right.
But I do agree with you. It's even if you're just charging $1,000 for your time to design out a kitchen, that you put in a lot more. I mean, good grief, you're making maybe $15 an hour if you charge $1,000 to price out a kitchen.
Quick story. I'm back in the day. I used to teach CEU classes, and we talked about this quite a bit in my classes. And I had a lumber company out west of town here said, yeah, we used to do all our plans for free. We talked about it 2 months later. And he said, we did our plans for free, and then we started charging $100. Then we started $200. Then we kept raising the price till we started getting resistance from people. And you got to $750 before people started resisting a little bit. So now instead of doing again, all that work for free and not getting the lumber package or any of that. They're charging for that and making that a profit center. So
That's great.
You know,
very
it's
cool.
okay to make money in this industry. It's okay to make money. We are not out here. We are not in this industry just for, I mean, we all might love what we do, but we're not in it just to give free workout. You want a nice vacation. You want a nice house. You want a nice car. You deserve a retirement plan. You deserve all this.
Yes.
And your time and your expertise and you have a value, and you need to, your time isn't free. Your expertise isn't free. And it's okay to say, we need to charge for our time. And you know what? The best part about it is you're going to weed out those people who are not your clients. You're going to weed them out, and you are not going to be somebody's Wednesday night entertainment. And that's okay. Frankly, I'd rather be home with my family on Wednesday night, not doing a bid for some idiot who's not going to hire me.
There you go. So Kyle, let's address Bill's question real quick. What kind of gross margin do remodelers need for sustainable business?
Dan, did you just say real quick? So
Give us your quick overview.
What time are we done with this show, by the way?
Yeah, noon. We got
Go
20
long.
minutes
Okay.
left.
Um,
19 minutes.
So Bill said, what kind of gross margin do remodelers need for a sustainable business? So the answer is there isn't a specific answer to that.
Yes.
Okay. So here's kind of some. So Bill's getting me fired up. So here I go. I'm wound up. I'm going to go for about 3 to 4 minutes. Buckle up. Take notes.
Here.
Total sales. If you have a 1.67 markup, that equals a 40. Oh, I'm by myself. I like seeing you. Put that back. No. I
Oh,
like
come on. We want to hear the
Okay,
full Kyle.
Okay, but that just distracted me. Where was I? Okay.
He'll do a better job if he sees us all. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right.
1.67 markup equals a 40% gross profit margin. So first of all, we need to understand what a gross margin is. When you look on your P&L statement and it says total sales minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit, that percentage that you see next to gross profit is a margin number. Markup and margin are different. So that's there's more to unpack there. But a 40% gross profit margin.
What percentage of contractors would you say don't understand that formula?
A lot.
The difference. I mean,
A
it's
lot.
high. It's a very high percentage.
A lot less than when I started coaching 13 years ago, though. One at a time, folks. One at a time.
That's right.
Okay. So if you have a 40% gross profit margin, you're doing really well. If you follow through Remodeler's Advantage stuff, if you follow through a lot of my colleagues and the Vicky Suiters and the Brian Kaplans and the Sean Van Dykes, if you go back to Walt Steppelworth, who was even before my time, but I've studied his stuff because he was doing what I do.
Michael Stone, another
right,
one.
Michael Stone, etc. You know, a lot of times they're like, well, the golden margin number for a remodeler who's got a showroom and he's got some overhead, you better be at 40% gross profit margin. But if you are somebody, hang on, my dog wants to come back in the office. But if you are somebody that doesn't have a lot of overhead, that doesn't have a lot of expenses, you do not need to be at 40% gross profit margin. You can be, okay? Now, another golden rule of numbers would be your overhead expenses should be around 20%, 25%. If I have a 40% gross profit margin and a 20% overhead expense, that leaves me with a net profit of 20%. That's pretty stinking good. Now, in your overhead expenses, you should have your salary already in there, so that plays a factor. So, in my Facebook group, if you go to remodelerscommunity.com, you can join my Facebook group. Somebody posted the other day that said they have a 58% gross profit margin and 31% net profit. That's off the charts high. Okay. Now, he has a really strong markup. He doesn't have a lot of slippage, and he's self-performing a lot of his work. That elevates gross profit and elevates net profit. And his net profit, I would venture to guess, if I dug into it, he doesn't have a lot of his salary in overhead expenses. So his salary and what he's paying him is coming out of net profit. So when you look at what other people are doing and looking at examples, et cetera, the numbers can be all over the board. So Bill, the answer to your question is it just depends on your numbers. Play your game. What do you need to be at in order to have a sustainable business? And you need to know your numbers and know what you need to charge in order to hit that. Yeah. So that's all I got to say about that for now.
Well, again, adding to that, if you're now making design a profit center, that's going to help your bottom line.
Yep.
Number one. Next to that, get your job costing in line. Get your job costing so that you know where every penny goes in your business, especially for your projects. That's something I did. I don't know why. I just always wanted to know how much I spent on a project. So I had the old QuickBooks DOS version back in the day, and I had a nice system figured out, and I knew where every penny went in every job. I knew when I was making money, I knew when I was and I knew when I was not making money, which you don't want to do very many of those. But when you know what's going on, you can make good decisions. So,
Dan, I'm going to hit on that a little bit.
please do.
What you're talking about is job costing. Job costing. Everybody say it with me. Job costing. Very important.
So important.
So important.
Even for people who just bill out hourly.
Sure.
Even for
Yes.
all you're doing is hourly building, you must do it.
Right. Or let's say, Robin, you charge $4,000 for those plans. If you're not tracking the amount of time that you spent on that, I have no idea if you did well or if you did bad on it. Right.
Well,
Go ahead.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But
I just analyzed it.
Yeah, what Dan is getting at is kind of saying, okay, we work so stinking hard to generate the lead, to sell the lead, to close the lead, to produce the work and result in a finished, beautiful project and a happy client. But we are so moving too fast that we don't carve out the time and make the time to make sure we're watching our numbers closely. Now, what so many of you experience is that you work your faces off, and then when you look at how much money is left at the end of the day, there's not a lot of money left, and you don't know what happened. The way that you know what happened is you look very closely at what you're expecting to make in gross profit. There's no reason that you shouldn't have very good clarity on what you're expecting to make in gross profit. What's a little harder is to see the actual. You need to track the number of hours that you and your crew are working. You need to make sure that out of QuickBooks that you can print a report that says for the Hunt Kitchen project, here's how much material we bought, here's how many our trade partners were, and here's what the labor cost was. And you need to make the time to compare your actual and your estimated. If you start digging in and doing that, you are well on your way. Because if you start watching that, you become a better estimator. You realize that you are way underbid and the number of hours for the framing work. You realize that you forgot this. You become a better estimator, you become a more confident salesperson, and you become a more profitable business owner. And to your point, Robin, you start making the money that you deserve to make. And
it helps you shelve the rose-colored glasses.
Yes. Or don't give me this crap of, well, I just don't know where the money has gone. I just don't know where it's at. That's your fault. You need to dig in. It's hard. This business is stinking hard. It's hard business, and it's a lot harder when you don't know how to understand your numbers.
But don't you know that? Don't you agree that once you understand your numbers and you are, and I hate the term, but weeding out the clients that are just not really your client.
Yes.
And you're making money. At the end of the day, you look and go, okay, this client was a little bit of a PIA, but we can, I still made money off of them. Mm-hmm. Right. And I still can take my family on vacation. I can still value my opportunities outside of my work.
One thing I would critique on that is the made money part. When I hear I made money on that, what that usually is code for is, well, we still made money. I don't care. Of course you're going to make money, but it takes a really bad job to not make money, right? Bring in more that's going out. The problem is that you didn't make as much money as you were supposed to. You were expecting $15,000 of gross profit, which, by the way, is what fuels and pays for your overhead expenses and your net profit, but you only made 10. Now you don't have as much left over. So I made money. I don't care if you made money. Of course you made money. Did you make the money you were expecting to make? Dig in. Look at those numbers.
Another thing about charging for your design and project development services is it gives you a chance to work with the client. To work with, they're paying you to work with them. You spend a lot of time with them. You may find out in that process that, I don't really want to build anything with these guys. They're kind of icky to work with. It gives you a chance to get an out, all right, before you get into the real big money of the actual project. So it's a nice way to feel out your clients. And I've talked to people before that have had to fire their clients or opt out by saying, hey, we're just too busy. We can't get into it for 10 years, that kind of a deal. So maybe not that long, but so that's another reason.
I will share this, right? If you want to get out of it, the hardest thing that you have to get out of is when the personality isn't a fit, right? Schedule wise, some of those are easy objections. When you know it's not a good fit, that makes it harder. There's really not an easy way to do it, but one phrasing that you can play with is, based on our schedule, based on the projects that we have in production, based on kind of the location of where you're at, and a variety of other factors, we have decided that this is not a project that we can take on. I'm so sorry. So you give a couple reasons, and then you throw out and a variety of other factors. I'm so sorry, but we're not able to take on this project. It softens it a little bit, and it makes it a little easier to turn that down.
Well, don't you find, Kyle, that the more you've done the research into where your profit centers are, then you can it's easier for you to then analyze what projects are that are a better fit for your company than not.
Yes.
And it's okay to say, this is not the type of project I do. I mean, I have contractors who will not do a whole house remodel. They just want to do kitchens or baths, and they only will do a very small addition. But if it becomes tearing off a whole roof, they're not interested. If they're raising a floor, they're not going to do that. That's outside their scope. And they figured it out because they knew their numbers. And they knew where their
and they know their team, and they know their team and how they're set up. I have a spreadsheet in front of me from a client the other day, and yes to that. The fact that things are so hot and we have so many leads, we have an opportunity to actually be strategic with the type of work we take on. And it takes a lot of effort to be strategic and turn things down, though. It takes a lot of discipline to say, I'm so sorry, but this is just not a good fit for us. We got to practice that. And
that's hence Jolene's course about marketing. How do you get those clients that you want to work with? Now, I want you to tell us, though, about your course, Kyle. And, I've been running the banner the whole time here because it's such a good course. You guys really, really need to consider getting this.
Yeah. So you guys got a feel for how I roll during this. Fairly passionate. Is that the word you use? Is that the word you use, John?
Yeah, you kind of get into it.
What's another word you'd use, John?
Passionate's good. Enthusiastic.
Okay. John, I feel like I was rocking and rolling there. Anything that you wanted to say earlier that you didn't get to sneak in there that you wanted to?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. So the course that Dan's talking about, I actually did it about a year ago and had 15, 18 remodelers that were part of it live. And it's got all of the recordings. It's got all of the slides. It's got all of the templates, tools, resources that are part of it. When I did it the first time around, I charged $697 and I'm selling it for $547. So you can get a nice little discount through that link that Dan.
Is that or for $497, whatever it is.
Yeah. Potatoes. I'm pretty sure it's $547, my friend.
I don't know. Let me look. I don't know.
Either way, there's a nice discount through Dan's link there. And when you purchase it, you'll get an email from my team with the direct link to be able to access the recordings. Am I correct, Dan?
$547. Yep.
Okay. Because I'm 7 days into this year. I haven't made a mistake in my coaching yet. I almost made one there. Last year, I made it all the way till July 17th before I misspoke.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Wow.
I'm joking. I made like six bonehead.
Wow.
I've made a mistake every day. Please, I'm just joking.
You know what this is?
What? BS meter?
Bullshit
I saw the yes. Yeah, I thought that's what that was. But the course is a super reasonable way to get some professional training and confidence building and clarity on a topic that if you're already doing this, but you're kind of just flirting with it and you're not taking it serious, it's going to help you build your confidence and clarity. If you're kind of thinking about doing this, it's going to help you go from kind of thinking to actually implementing it. Yeah. It will make you 100 times what you're going to invest in it over the course of a year or two, let alone if you can really get this figured out and you've got it in place for the rest of your career. So it's a good course. It's got really good feedback. And it's
got 5 modules. I've listened to them. They're outstanding. It's the kind of thing that you would, don't listen to the radio when you're driving between projects, going to see a client. You listen to things like this. And this will make a big difference in your business. It really will. So it's good stuff.
Cool. Nice.
All right, cool.
Brilliant.
So let's.
It sounds like you're a lot of fun to work with.
Oh, thanks.
I missed some of the live. Yeah, these are all posted on our blog. And so if you go to chiefexpertsacademy.com, go to the blog, you will see them. You can even search by Kyle Hunt and it'll go right to his course, it takes us, we don't usually get them posted until Monday. So, plus you can also watch them on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. Todd says, how would you deal with a designer client who does not value their time and shortchanges their time? In return, I get started on hours worked. In return, I get what goes into that, but not what I should have. Huh? Kyle, you understand that?
The last part, I saw Paul's where it said Kyle has a smart ass attitude that actually sells his image. So I'm curious. Well, we'll go back to that one. That distracted me for a second because I'm like, oh, I thought to myself, I may have been a little too much this afternoon. I apologize. I usually control that.
You're great. It's
in
okay.
Return, I get shorted on hours worked. It goes to that made money, but not what I should have. Okay.
Basically, spending way more time than they should on a project because maybe the client keeps changing their mind. I've had clients that had not make up their mind.
Right.
Well, so if the designer isn't appropriate. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please, Robin.
No, if the designer hasn't done their job, they should have gone back to the designer and said, these are the holes, and we can't start the job until we fix these holes.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's what he's getting at there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess the other thing I saw there was not value their time or shortchanges their time. When I read it the first time, what I was thinking is, they're not taking this time serious and things just kind of drag on and they're not holding up their end of the bargain. Yeah. Deadlines work. We all need more deadlines. So two things.
Part of this, Kyle, let me interrupt for 1 second. Part of this could be is the clients aren't valuing the contractors or designers' time. Okay. They're looking at until we present ourselves but until we help them understand that we are a professional service, just like any other doctor, attorney, lawyer, that kind of a deal. Our time is valuable. I don't know if that's what we had either, but
fair enough.
Anyway,
so where I was going with it is, giving your clients deadlines is really important. If they're needing to finalize a decision, give them a deadline. We all work better off of deadlines. The other thing that reduces the cycle time, I call it cycle time, from the time that you sign the design and development agreement to the time the contract is signed, there's a certain amount of time that takes. We should measure that and kind of see how long. We can reduce our cycle time by giving ourselves self-imposed deadlines. And what that means is at the end of every meeting you have with a client, book that next meeting before you get up from that or before you end that Zoom call. That gives you a self-imposed deadline and you work to hit it. Let's click on Paul's. I'll read it. Yeah. Kyle has a smart-ass attitude that actually sells his image. People are nervous biting off a large project that they normally don't do, and to be able to put the client at ease with humor is key. Interesting. So hopefully I'm not too much of a smart-ass, but I'm a little bit of an anomaly where I'm very serious and very jovial at the same time. I'm kind of this weird blend. But the big thing for that is that's me. Like my approach and my speed and passion and whatnot is different than Dan's. Yep. But Dan brings this calm. Dan, I was talking to one of my clients who started working with Dan on chief architect stuff, and she said, and it was Hillary with JK Construction, and she said, Dan is just so patient. Like he's working with Josh, and he's like, it's because that's his personality. That's who he is. Yeah. So yes, use humor if it's natural to you, and be yourself. So, learn these principles of selling and approaches, but put them through the filter of what you're comfortable with. So, and also when I saw that smartass thing, I was kind of cautious because I've worked hard to kind of, where is that line? I want to be myself. I like having fun, but I also need to be careful not to, overrun people. Frankly, it's why I asked John if he had anything to say there, because between Rob and Dan and I, we kind of took the conversation and John's been sitting there and I worried that I didn't give him time to talk.
No, I'm good.
All right.
John, he'll speak up when it's time. Okay. Yeah, no, he's good at that. So, but awesome. Kyle, thanks for being here, man. This has been fun. I just love having doing things like this together. And
it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
this was brilliant.
Brilliant. There you go, Kyle. You're brilliant.
It's a good way to end.
Well, and you know what? You need to be the person you are. You're going to attract the right kind of people. You're going to attract people who fit right with you. There are a lot of business coaches out there, and you're going to get the people who can handle your style. Somebody who's fast.
Yeah. Click Paul there. So what Paul is saying is that he is a handsome, whimsical, crazy, brilliant, intelligent person like that, truly.
Oh,
Paul-
he's not
Paul
saying
P.
he's a smart ass.
Paulie P and I are similar.
Hey,
Well,
Nina,
it's so
thanks
nice
for
that you
being
joked that you, I really think this year for 2022, you need to work on your self-image.
Humility, perhaps, too.
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So, Robin, I'm going to end the broadcast. You don't have to close your browser, by the way. You'll still be in it, but we're just going to end the broadcast here because it's time to end our broadcast. Darn. This is always too much fun. Again, everybody, thank you for being here. Happy New Year. It's here we are, 22. If you look at my background here, it's a picture of
you.
where I was all week doing business planning. I took
Very
4
cool.
days and just went off and planned my business. I just kind of laid out my calendar for the year and trying to get everything in place. And it was really valuable. And I highly recommend that you all do that too, because take some time, do that a couple times a year, take a weekend, go somewhere that's not your business and just think about your business. If you have a partner, take your partner with, take someone that you can talk with. So I was there with my marketing person, Julian, and we just covered a lot of territory. Very cool.
It's
Anyway.
such a smart thing to do, to take
Yes.
time off to work on your business, not in
Yes.
your business. You are
It really
so
works.
much more ahead of the curve when you do that.
Yeah, I did that back in my contracting days with my partner. We would go twice a year for two or 3 days and just talk about our business and write it down, get it documented. It made a huge difference. We ran a nice business. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks.
you.
We'll see everyone. Have a great New Year.
Happy
now.
New Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.